G'day class. In this module, I'm going to walk you through performing the calculations using Excel for week 2, learning activity 3, the cash flow budget. Now I'm going to be using different figures like I did with the accelerated depreciation exercise. So the concepts are going to be the same. Just apply the same processes and steps as you would to the original problem. Now here we have a cash budget, and as I mentioned, the numbers are different, but I wanted to show you how to perform these calculations and how to put together a cash budget so you'll understand the process and the procedures in performing these calculations. Now here we have a beginning cash balance of $6,500. We want to make sure that we maintain a required cash balance of $5,000 in our bank account at all times for operations. Now here you're going to see several figures for you. Okay, you're just going to have to, the percentages, you're going to have to do the calculations. And in this, I'm not going to walk you through the whole problem. I'm going to only do 2 of the months for you, and then once you see how those are performed, then you could carry it throughout the rest of the problem all the way to May. I think just by me showing you how to perform these 2 months, these 2 calculations, and just following the same steps, from month to month, you're going to arrive at the correct answer. Okay, so let's get started. We have $6,500 at the beginning of the month. We have actual sales of $51,000. Now here in this first, we need to figure out the 30% of cash collected at the time of sale. Well, at the sales were $51,000. Okay, we collected 30% of cash in those actual sales. So we're going to need to figure out 30% of 51,000. So as we did in the previous module, we begin entering a formula into Excel by entering an equal. We're going to click on the cell with the 51,000. We're going to multiply that times the 30% because that's how much we collected. Okay, that just means that we need to expand that. It's a percentage, so I just need to format the cells to an accounting. So let me change that for you. Okay, so we collected $15,300 of cash at the time of sale. Now we need to figure out purchases that were paid in cash. Well, we see that in January we had actual purchases of $45,000. So we need to multiply 45,000 times 50%. So here, once again, equal 45,000 times 0.50%, and I'll need to convert that again because the cell is formatted for percentages, so we need to change that in Excel. Okay, so there you go. You got 22,500. And then the last one we need to figure out is wages and salaries for the month of January to complete the January cash budget, 8%. So we collect 8% on the current month sales. So it's going to be a percentage based on current month sales, your wages and salaries. So you're going to multiply 8% times 51,000. Okay. So you enter the equal 51,000 times 0.08, and I'll need to change that. Okay, so you got the 4,080. Now we need to figure out our total cash flows, our inflows, because in the cash budget you have your inflows and you have your outflows. You got cash flows that's coming into the business from operations. Then you got cash flows that are going out of the business for operations. Well, your total cash flows is going to be the cash collected at the time of sale. The cash collected month after the sale was 19,200, and then the cash collected the second month was 1,700. So here we need to add all that up. So as with we do in Excel to enter a formula equal, and we need to add those figures. And to do that, you get equals plus the sum, open parentheses, click on the 15,000, drag it, hit enter, and there you have total cash inflows. Now we need to figure out total cash outflows. Well, we need to add up the outflows, the total outflows, to arrive at that figure. So we have equal sum, okay. So the total outflow was 32,480. Okay, let me enter. Let me insert a cell here because we need to figure out the difference between those two. Okay, so now we need to figure out the difference between those two. So you figure you had equals, you had 36,200 came in, then you had 32,480 going out. So that's your difference. So that's a positive. You had an increase in your cash flow of 37 of 20. So what was the cash balance? Well, the cash balance is going to be what you had at the beginning of the month, which is $6,500 plus the difference of your outflows and inflows, and that is a 37. So you're going to add the 3720 to the 6,500, okay? So you have a cash balance end of the month of 10,000. Well, that end of the month cash balance in January becomes the beginning balance in February. So very easily equal, come down here, populate that, and there you have it. Now we begin the process again. In February, we had $61,000 in sales, in actual sales. We collected 30% of that, of those sales in cash. So we need to multiply 30% times 61,000. So 61,000 times 30%, just a formatting. Okay, so let me look at that. Oh, I see what I did. That was supposed to be multiply. Okay. There we go. So 30% of 61,000 is 18,300. Then we collected cash collected month after the sale. So this 60% is cash that we collected the month after the sale. So the month after the sale, which is January, 51,000. So we're going to collect 60% of that $51,000 in January. We're going to collect 60% of that in February. So we need to multiply 51,000 times 60%. Okay. Then we come down to the purchases paid in cash. Well, purchases in February were $50,000, so we collected 50% of that. So we got equals 50 times 0.50. Format that. Let me change that to an accounting so to stay consistent. Okay, then the purchases paid for the month following purchases, that's 20%. So you're going to calculate, you're going to collect, or you're going to pay 20% of purchases after the month that they were made. So after January, you're going to pay 25% on that 45,000. So 45,000 times 20%. And the last figure we need to figure out is the wages and salaries for February. So that's percentage based on current month sales. So 8% of 61,000. Okay, so it's 4880. Now we need to figure out our inflows and our outflows. So our inflows for February were some. Here we have our inflows. Now we need to figure out our outflows. Now we need to figure out the difference between the inflows and outflows. So you have your cash inflows less your cash outflows. So we have 61,120. So now we're going to add the 6120 because that's in addition to what we were making to the 10,000. So now we're going to, that's going to be, and disregard that 5,000, that's there to throw you off, but the 5,000 is basically going to be, this is going to be cash at the end of the month is going to be your 10,000 plus your 61,000, which is 16,000, which now becomes the end of the month cash that you have for February becomes the beginning of the cash that you have in March. So you just like that, and there you go. So just, you saw how I performed these calculations and walked you, and then I did the first 2 months for you. Okay, I did January and February, and you saw how I performed those calculations and entered the numbers and added those figures for you using Excel. Just carry on, continue the same process that I've begun all the way through March, April, and May. Okay, and you should arrive at the same or at the proper solutions for the answer. So I hope this has been very helpful. After reviewing this, if you still have any questions, please shoot me an email. I'll be more than happy to help you. So this ends our second module for week 2 on cash flow budgets.